Yeah.
And welcome to the Ramon Foster Show live. It is live.
Yes. It is live, DK. A lot of people proud of that when we go live and they catch us live, man.
It's also on time. Look at us on time.
But how's bragging camp going for both of us, DK?
Lots of people lost a lot of money on that bet. He's Ramon Foster, 11-year starting guard in the National Football League. All 11 of those for the Pittsburgh Football Club Incorporated.
Yeah.
I think they're incorporated. Incorporated. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and your Steelers are undefeated. They are 3-0, and believe it or not, Moan, that's not even the part that I want to ask you about to open up today. It's not the 3-0 to me.
Yeah.
It's this part of it.
Yeah, man.
That's totally different, man. Look, I'm going to be a jerk and say this out loud, but this team started 11-0 in the COVID year.
I thought about that.
And no one took it seriously, and no one should have taken it seriously. This feels different.
It felt like that 11-0 felt like, all right, well, one, we got to consider the pandemic. Everything's weird and wonky. And I think no fans being in the stands mattered to home advantages, et cetera, turnover crowd, all that bull jive, right, DK?
Mm-hmm.
This time around, you got an offense that is finding its way week to week. You see it getting better. You're seeing musical chairs of offensive linemen moving in, moving out. They're adjusting, and they're still finding ways to win. And you got a quarterback from week 1 to week 3 look like he's getting more and more comfortable. And on top of that, I keep adding stuff to this, DK. You find a offensive coordinator who, by whatever means, he's figuring this thing out as far as Arthur Smith goes. He seems to be continually chiseling this boulder, this canvas, right? This big old rock that no matter what, you're not going to change how he calls his offense. You just got to have the guys that believe in it, DK, and will execute it. And eventually, remember my prediction for this game, what was it, 20-10 or 2013 or something like that? I said, this is going to be a rock fight. Exactly what Arthur Smith wants and exactly what this Steelers defense is capable of winning. And they did exactly that. This, at this point, DK, feels more real than that 11-0 start the last time around.
It's hard. I mean, you've been part of some terrific teams here in Pittsburgh, and you have to know inside the room that even though you're getting the results, I'll give you an example. Broderick Jones yesterday was asked, is the offense getting there? Is it where it wants to be? He said, no. No. And this was a day where, if you think about them sitting on the ball, kneeling with 1 yard left here, they should have had would have had 3 touchdowns easily. And Justin Fields himself brought up another setting. He said we would have had yet another one if I hadn't thrown that interception. He blamed that on himself. I'm not sure that he should.
And all that traffic right there, he blamed himself.
He said he shouldn't have thrown the ball. And there's an argument that can be made there.
Okay,
but he didn't exactly make a bad pass.
No,
I thought Najee Harris should have knocked the ball down.
And of all people, Bud caught it. Of all people, Bud Dupree catches
our
the
man
intercept.
Bud.
My guy, your guy, our guy, right?
Bud's everybody's guy.
He's everybody. He's Bud's buddy. Bud brings a buddy, man. It's so many. This time around is. I think there's more positives to be had because look at the high spots that you're getting out of this thing. No, DK, you're watching Nick Herbig define himself week in and week out more as a rusher. And you know what? I don't even want to slight the guy that warmed up the slot machine before him because I got to give it to Alex. Alex Highsmith just kept cranking that. He just kept cranking that slot machine, DK. He just kept warming that thing up. And then eventually Nick came in and cashed in. Because how many almost sacks did Alex Highsmith almost have? I know for sure 2, maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah, but you know how we feel about almost sacks on this show.
Almost don't count.
Almost don't count except the horseshoes and PFF. That's it.
I was about to go there.
Did I beat you there?
They better highlight our guy. Because at this point, if you can do it in Cleveland, you better be doing it in Pennsylvania and Western PA, DK.
I don't know, man. My understanding was that Myles Garrett had one whole tackle, yesterday, and they lost at home to the Giants. But I'll bet that was the most awesomest tackle you've ever seen, Moan. It was just a thing of beauty.
You know what? I would lean in more, man. I would. And I want to. I want to lean in more on what they got going on in Cleveland. But here's what I will also tell you. You got TJ Watt out here just eviscerating first-round tackles, too.
Oh, that poor kid. And what I give credit to, Jim Harbaugh, who I don't often give credit to in any walk of life, had some good things to say about the kid. He said, he knew he faced a big challenge. He stood up to it. He didn't let it get to him. And Moan, you've been there.
Yeah.
You can take positives from it. You can learn from it. And speaking of that and the offensive line, Jay Mood says something. When we're talking about the upward incline here, says, how about Mason McCormick? That draft class that the Steelers just had is special. McCormick, for anybody who doesn't know, he came in at times when they went with his crazy jumbo set, but he also subbed Spencer Anderson out at times. Najee Harris, always pay attention when he does stuff like this. After the game, had all this great stuff to say about McCormick. He's a dog. He's this, that, and everything else. And, of course, some of Najee's bigger runs in the second half came behind McCormick, which means he saw something.
He noticed
it. And he's going to see it better than anybody in any camera. So this is that kind of thing that starts happening, Moan, isn't it? Where things start coming out in the wash. You know what I'm saying? Certain players just show up, they perform, they go, oh, okay, we'll leave that guy in. And it's not just quarterback.
It's not. It's not just Mason McCormick. Also, it's, of course, Zach Frazier continues to do his thing, right? We're seeing Keanu Benton look like he's taking that second-year step the way we thought he would. You're seeing Peyton Wilson, DK, make plays and get active. And more than anything, of all of those dudes, and I got a few more on my list too, DK, okay? Even more of all of those dudes, you know what I'm most hype about, DK? And I know you don't know where I'm going with this.
I don't.
I'm more hype about, and this guy needs no applause. He needs no pat on the back. He needs nobody to talk about him because he really don't talk about himself.
Oh, I know where this is going now. Go ahead.
Minkah.
He's been so quiet back there from the splash standpoint, but then you look at his tackle totals and you look at the way he's sealing. There was one play early in the game yesterday. I made a mental note of it where J.K. Dobbins went running out to the left and he looked like he was a threat, but he saw 39 coming at exactly, you know which one I'm talking about. 39's coming at exactly the right angle to knife him off. And he goes out of bounds. And I'm thinking, if Minkah doesn't read that properly, you're down early, you're doubting yourself and all this other stuff. He's still playing well.
He is, man. And I'll say this too. I know Minkah.
The Hail Mary at the end.
Yes.
That was Minkah's hand.
And I know there was, I think, a miscommunication between Minkah and Joey Porter Jr. on the touchdown to Johnson in the second quarter, if I'm not mistaken, down the sideline. Mm-hmm. So it's that. But what I tell you is this. That young group of dudes that are finding their way as far as the Steelers defense go in the secondary, you watch Minkah. For a dude that has all the praise, can make himself a Hall of Fame caliber guy. We know he's got the Pro Bowl and all pros already. He's a type. He could have played in those. You know what I mean when I say those Steeler defenses?
Oh, I know what you mean.
He could have played in it. Watch the respect of how those dudes go to him, how he also celebrates with the young guy. Again, we mentioned, like, in the sense of, like, you to have good teams, you got to have a balance of some middle age, meaning like years 4, 5, 6, and 7, with some youth that follow him. And that's what they have going on in the secondary right now, DK. Even so much of Joey Porter Jr., again, he is coming up and tackling the ball. Wasn't that a thing of his last year? Handsy and can he go throw his face in the fan? He's answering that call. Those
back-to-back tackles. The TFL, I was teasing him afterward. I said, what are you doing posing for your sideline? Like, because that's what he did. He blasted the dude for a loss, and he turns and looks to his own sideline like, I can do that. See, I'm not the guy that I was at Penn State. I don't hate making tackles. Tackles are okay. I mean, I can say stuff like that to him, but it was impressive, and they hung together. I walked past Dante Jackson. He looks at me, he goes, "How'd we look?"
That's when you know when they start talking. Yeah. Hey, you know why Joey Porter Jr. stood up and faced his sideline doing that? Because what do I always say? Like, Coach T has his flaws, like many other coaches in the NFL. He has his flaws, DK, right? A lot of people, and this thing could turn south for what it's worth, right? But for his method of coaching, his method of getting to his guys, again, I said this, I don't think the message getting old. I think they're in the middle of somewhat a transition from old to young, from young to growing up, that I think we got to have a little bit of grace for, just a little bit, even though we're going to side-eye it and stuff like that. But his ability to be open and transparent and challenging to the dudes inside of the building, because all Coach Tomlin has done was call out Joey Porter Jr. probably all camp long, all last year. On what, DK? On tackles
on
alone.
Bringing guys down. That's all. That's the old Dick LeBeau thing. I don't care what else you can do out there. If you can't tackle, you're not playing for me.
What are we doing? So that's why, in my opinion, having seen him do that before, why Joey Porter Jr. was probably looking at the sideline, was like, get off my back. But awesome.
You know what? I have a wag of the finger here to offer to our viewers and our commenters who are here in the live show. And not one person reminded us that we didn't ring the bell. Like, what are we paying everybody for? You're all here. You're supposed to be telling us, hey, guys, you're supposed to ring the bell.
No, and I got it ready too, DK. We jumped in this thing face first, man.
That's not on you. That's on them.
We threw our face in the fan, and they did too, because this winning in this league is not easy. It's here and ready, DK. I promise you.
All right, but not that anyone's deserving of the bell. Go ahead. See, look at Cool Ray's coming in after the fact. No, you don't get
the fact.
You don't get that. Dwight Jefferson's pretending he remembered. I just got here. Nate Mike tries the "I just got here" excuse.
Yeah, and matter of fact, we went 2 bells last week for the Dubs. DK, I gotta go 3 right now. If you all right with that, man.
Yeah, that's okay. 3-0 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who else is undefeated? It's Minnesota? Is that
Minnesota, Kansas City?
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
I got you. Let me, don't even
How many in the AFC North are undefeated? That would be your Pittsburgh Steelers. Everybody else is 1-2 or worse, depending on how the Bengals do tonight.
I got them. Seattle, Minnesota, Buffalo, but they play tonight. The Steelers, and Kansas City.
That's it, huh?
Yeah, that's it. Man. That's it. And Baltimore almost coughed it up again yesterday in Dallas.
Oh, so close.
Were we praying on their downfall?
Nobody needs my prayers. If you're not playing good football, it's not going to help you. You know what we're going to do today is we're going to get to the only segment that matters, which would be
Hey Mo. And the reason I was hesitant is Hey Mo. Okay. Only reason I'm hesitant, DK, I'm worked up. I'm hype, okay? I'm glad to see good, consistent football, okay? I know. This gets me going.
Here we go. One
more shout out.
Go ahead.
Calvin.
Again. Cal. But it's not even just Calvin. It's not. I'm sorry, we can't limit the shout-outs on this one because Cal worked his rear end off to come back from the foot injury. He's been making himself into a more complete player. He's been really solid on punt returns. But Dan Moore was knocking people backward. He was the guy that was in the huddle by all accounts. The people I talked to yesterday, they were saying 13-play drive to open the second half. This is it. We've won this game. We're going to win this damn thing. He told me afterward, you need that guy on the field, Moan. You've been saying this,
DK, it's never perfect with the play of offensive linemen, right? But here's what I said this morning on my morning job, right? My day show. I said protection, offensive line protection, it's an art. It's like chiseling a big old granite, right? It's a sculpture. It's like Bob Ross in year one, I'm sure he wasn't making trees like he was in like his later years doing that show.
Pretty little trees.
The Pretty Little Trees. I'm sure his clouds weren't as good, DK.
They were blue back then. He would
just
make blue clouds on white sky.
That's all I'm saying. What I'm telling you is this, right? It's rare that a guy jumps into this league like Joe Thomas and becomes, boom, all-pro year one. Like, offensive line protection is an art. It's Picasso in year one versus by the time that he was done living, right? It's that to me. You get better with every stroke and every portrait that you paint. And Dan Moore, to me, is doing exactly what we think he should do, man. Continually, DK, to your point, do that. And that's all he's done.
Yeah, and Jay Moods points out Dan Moore is solid. Kenny Pickett made his numbers seem bad with the happy feet, and Dan's had other struggles too. But look, we're living in the now. Zach Frazier's getting the job done. James Daniels is getting the job done. The left guards, the rotating left guards, and eventually Isaac Seumalo. And by the way, one final shout out in this conversation that goes to number 77, Broderick Jones, who not only bounced back in a big way and today is grading really well on his film, but he did so with very little heads up. I mean, he could have spent the week pouting and not been prepared for this opponent, not been prepared for the individual. Instead, he did this. He held up pretty good.
Yes, he did, DK.
And a certain somebody here told us last week that he was going to be able to do that.
Yep. Real quick, too, because you're closer to the situation. Troy's issue, Fautano.
He's not good. He's going to miss the whole season. He's going to have knee surgery. His kneecap went out of place. Not to gross everybody out.
Yeah, I've seen that in college before.
Yeah, man. Also, on the depressing note, before we get to the Hey Moan stuff, Jalen Warren told me yesterday exclusively that he's going to have an MRI on his knee. That's new.
Okay.
And that's the reason you didn't see him in the second half. So we'll see where that goes. And if the Steelers are either going to ramp up Cordero Patterson or they're going to have to go get another running back, they'll probably have to do it either way.
Arthur Smith did it a good bit last year in Atlanta with Cordero Patterson. He's rode this ride before.
And he still got it, man. The dude was just really letting it go.
I don't understand at his big old age, Cordero Patterson, how DK genetically. I was just, how in the hell is he this damn fast?
Yeah. Yeah, Mason McCormick made a comment about that yesterday. He said, you look at how many years he's been in the league and what position that is. And you know what Cordero Patterson's explanation for it is?
Tell me.
He said, when I was a kid, my mother was working 3 jobs. If she can work that hard, I can work just as hard as her. That's his actual answer on that subject.
I ain't even going to salute because that hits me right here.
That's life. That's not football. He said, what would be my excuse for not being prepared to play football?
Wow. Okay, let's only second that matters again, DK.
Hey, Mo! Here we go. Keith Ryan wants to know, hey, Mo, should the Steelers still try and get a number 2 wide receiver even after the game that Cal had?
Where? That's my only question, Keith. Where? The tight ends seem to be doing their thing. Again, Arthur Smith is going to bang your head against the wall to make his offense work. As long as his defense stays up and you ask them to continue, Ware and Roman Wilson, I mean, I think we see something there too, right?
Maybe. Yep. He was made inactive because they wanted the extra defensive lineman,
Yeah.
Tomlin explained, but he's got to get out on the field. He's got to make stuff happen.
And guys keep answering the call. Scotty Miller, another big catch. And again, Calvin Austin, I'm just going to say that again.
Mm-hmm. Time Man says, hey, Moan, do you think Justin Fields is the QB of the future at this point?
I'll answer it the same way I've said it before. I think it's ideal that he is. I think it's ideal if he is. He's checked a good bit of the check marks right now. The questions about him, he's thrown over the middle. He can hit the sideline. The one that Scotty Miller might have been his best pass of the day.
What a touch.
His smarts is showing on decision making. Like, he could throw the ball away and have a better down and distance, but he's protecting the ball and getting down. Derwin James, by the way, he was hot to trot this weekend too.
What a football player that is.
What a ball player, man. But to answer your questions, it's ideal, and my true sentiments is yes at this point. I ain't even going to bring Russ in this, but yes is my answer.
Oh, yeah, that's what you have? Okay, so that would then take care of Phil's question, which was, hey, Moan, is Russell Wilson a healthy QB2 now?
Why mess it up? Because the first time Russ comes in.
You said the same thing around Mason Rudolph when he took over. You can't mess with this.
Can't. At this point, you're going to be loving Justin Fields no matter what Russ does. Your answer is what most teams want, a healthy QB number 2 that can make plays for you if stuff goes wrong. I love that plan. It's beautiful.
Yeah, no less an authority than Bill Belichick over the weekend said that Pittsburgh might have the best overall quarterback situation in the NFL.
Is working because I can tell you who Josh Allen's backup is. Look at Miami.
I think it's Mitch.
Look at Miami. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Look at Miami's situation in a matter of 1 week.
Oh yeah, you just never know. Vegeta says, "Hey Moan, do you think that how do you think Zach Frazier compares to Marquise Pouncey's rookie season?"
And I can't compare that. Incomparable. You know why? Give me 3.
Yeah, don't do that.
Give me 3.
It's not fair. I will say
we did it to Kendrick Green. We ain't doing it this time.
If you gave me, I'll tell you this, 3 of the Marquise Pounceys that I laid eyes on yesterday at the stadium, you'd equal the old Pounce. I didn't even recognize him.
Different dude.
You're the only guy who still looks like when you played.
Yeah, no.
Out of that group, you seen Dave. Dave's walking around like Mr. GQ.
Different animal right now, isn't he? Different.
Yeah, I like that when I ran into him at the airport. I told you about it in Miami. I patted him on the stomach, like, what happened to you?
Life, and they dropped it quick. With that being said, Vegeta, he needs 3 seasons.
3 seasons.
Because Marquise was all pro, and then he did it again, and then he did it again. Let's not Kendrick Green him.
James Thompson, that's good. James Thompson has a good question for you. He says, hey, Moan, does it look like George Pickens has really grown up?
I think he ain't had no choice. I think when the flow of the offense is going and he's getting his targets, what more can you ask of him? The way he's been double teaming and set up defensively, you got to let the game come to you. It seems that way to me that he's somewhat growing up, DK. So, again, we'll see if some adversity hit, how he handles that. But right now, he's been a model citizen.
Yeah, he has. I saw him once getting pretty mad when Fields didn't look his way and instead went the other way, and he got to the helmet, he slammed his helmet down or whatever. That's actually kind of honestly standard stuff for a wide receiver. I agree with Moan. He has taken the responsibility of WR1 and amplified it.
Yeah.
By saying, I'm not just the guy that's running downfield waiting for the bomb. Yeah, you need third and short. You need whatever it is. I'm here. I got that. And he did have all of that yesterday. I thought he had a terrific game. Evan just says that he loves this team. And I could feel some of that around here. You know, that fourth quarter yesterday, Moan, do you remember what it was like when the crowd in Pittsburgh, and only in Pittsburgh, would get behind you in the fourth quarter in a way that they expected you to do it, as opposed to hoping or wishing or rooting for you to do it? There's a different vibe about it.
Man, so I was having that conversation here today. You mind if I blend roles real quick? So down here, they're 0-3. The Titans are 0-3.
I've heard.
Yesterday,
I've heard they have quarterback troubles.
Yeah, they do. And just winning troubles, okay? So yesterday in that stadium, at Nissan Stadium, the lower bowl, DK, was all Green Bay for the most part.
Oh.
And you know what I said? I said there's a difference in, like, expectations. Like, Pittsburgh fans expect that team to win, even if they're bad. Even if they're 0-2, they're still going to show up because they understand the game that, hey, there's an expectation of winning, and eventually we're going to get there. And I know Nashville is an entertainment center right now as far as the city goes, so a lot of fans come here. But I don't know if there's a purge, DK, of PSL holder tickets to sell them the way I've seen here. And that's what I said this morning. Our crowd doesn't sell in mass the way I've seen it down here. To your point, this fan base gets behind that team because the expectation of winning or putting a good product is standard, DK. So yes, I felt it. I saw it as a player. Yes, 100%. You should love this team, enjoy it, because again, winning is an expectation.
That's TJ Watt was the one who said to me after the game, he goes, it was as if every time we lined up, meaning the defense, they expected us to make splash. They weren't expecting us to go backward 80 yards and hold them to a field goal. They were expecting us to send them backward. And by the way, you seen the yardage for the second half?
Yeah.
Ready? You ready?
Yep.
Pittsburgh 234, Los Angeles -5. They went backward in the second half, an undefeated opponent. This isn't,
in 30 minutes of ball
with Justin Herbert at quarterback. Now, he was hobbled a little bit, but
don't care.
That.
Don't care. Do not care, DK. Are you okay with the style? I can ask hey DK.
Yeah, I'm okay with how they're okay with this style is the best answer I can give you. When Elandon Roberts tells me that we're feeding off of how the offense is controlling the ball, we're going back to the sideline, we're getting rested up. We're feeding off of their vibe. They're out there for 10, 12, 13 plays. We're getting ourselves ready. We're pinning our ears back. And the same is true of the other guys. We're expecting our defense to get the ball back, to get us great field position. We take the field knowing, same way you used to talk about this too. You got to punch those in, man. Those aren't field goals. No. You get that ball on a takeaway, strip sack, interception. That's got to be 6. It's got to be 6 every time. And even the special teams have been involved because now even with poor Cameron Johnston out, Corliss Waitman's been unbelievable.
Oh my God!
What is that? This guy was just sitting on his couch.
Where did they find him? On his couch?
I'm sure. Jackson B says, "Hey Moan, what was a bigger fleece? Justin Fields for a 6th?" or Joey Porter for Chase Claypool? Ow.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
Both of them's a dub right now, man. Justin for a 6, man. I've seen this franchise turn 6s into starters or players. But that's too equal to me. That's too equal.
The biggest fleece might be what someone mentioned earlier on this show and in the comments, that this overall draft class, you get McCormick out there, man.
Yeah.
You're talking about having everybody playing except poor Fautanu.
I know.
Who
we saw good out of, though.
And we saw what he can be. You don't have to wonder about that. It was only 59 total snaps, but he was out there. Oh, lifted ones. This is a lifetime ban. Somebody, what is this?
Like you don't travel, DK. What are we talking about?
How do you do the job without being at the game?
I got another good one that follows up the Fields question, man. And it's from I got Eric real quick, man. Eric goes, "Hey, Moan." I think that's the first Hey Moan of the Hey Moan segment we've actually had, too.
Nah,
DK, by the way. That's
second.
the second one? Okay,
Yeah.
But he goes, will the Steelers regret not signing Fields long-term before the season started? The answer is no. Justin wanted to be in Pittsburgh. Justin is also smart enough, I'd assume, that he can see that Pittsburgh will build around him and let him be him. So I don't even think you had to. Justin, to his words, I think, and to his camp's words, he just needed an opportunity and wanted to be there.
The one thing you don't have to worry about related to the Steelers in 2025 is whether or not they've got money to spend. They will get whichever quarterback they wanted, and that includes if it's Fields. If Fields is their guy and Fields has the kind of season that he appears to be having, that's great stuff.
It is.
Lifted ones says he just wanted a picture. We'll get you anything you want, my man, but never wonder if I'm going to a football game. That's just not how it goes. Little bit of coin says the con artist has absolutely nailed the last 2 drafts. Every guy still on the team, even including the IR players. Really, really, really impressive, these drafts to date.
Yeah. I did a little research on that too, because again, I was looking at Green Bay because of the game that they played in the Titans yesterday. 7 first-rounders on that defense, DK, all drafted to the Green Bay Packers. If you want to build a team, to your point, like the money for free agency is phenomenal. It's phenomenal, DK. But building a team hits through the draft. Ain't no other way around it, DK. It is It is by far one of the most telling things I've seen, and that's without the second rounders or Preston Smith or others on that team that they just sprinkle in here. Minka is a sprinkle, right, of salt inside of that Steelers defense. He might as well be yours, but the majority of what you do happens through the draft, and you need to hit on that big time.
Victory says it's nice to hear crickets from the national news media who always predict these other coaches will outcoach Mike T. What is the national news media, Moan? What does that actually mean?
They just
remember this? They don't cover anything. They sit in a cubicle in Bristol, Connecticut. Okay, they're not covering anything. The people who are described as national, all that means is you don't cover a team. That's all it means. There's no hierarchy. There's no higher or lower. If you paid attention to this show last week, the gentleman over to my side there, called this one right. You got to be close to these teams.
You do. And again, to your same point, what I meant by cover, DK, they got to put their hands on 32 markets. They don't have
doing
a focus.
Anything. Yeah.
Yes.
It's what jack of all trades, master of none.
Master of none. They just have no focus. They just cover the entire NFL.
Yeah, let's see what other Haymon. We're going to take a couple more Haymons here.
I got a good one now because I don't know how it's going to go. Yeah, it just came in from Chris, and I thought about it too. With the emergence of Mason McCormick and also Spencer Anderson, I don't know what we do with Isaac because you don't bench a player because of injuries. But if they continue to gain more and more steam and confidence in play, they hadn't been negative to this offense, DK, is what I could tell you about the two young pups. Put Isaac back in potentially, but just know you've grown. You've had those two young fellas in Spencer Anderson and Mason McCormick grow up. I have more of a twisted mind about the left guard position and putting Isaac back in than I do at the quarterback, DK.
Donnan has the. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say because I almost want to say you just go with him. I'd much rather say that almost right now, man. But I trust Isaac to get back healthy, and if he's not, bow out.
No, Isaac's. I mean, he's obviously a veteran. He'll know his body. He'll know whether or not he can go the whole way, and he'll be honest. Donnan says. He's got our last cue for the day. Says, "Hey, Moan, do you think the mindset of wearing pads and being tough has led to the offense wearing teams down in the fourth quarter?" I'm trying to figure out what he means by that because I think I think he means right. The idea that camp is a lot soft's not the right word for it, but softer than it's been in the past.
World.
Yeah, that Connor Hayward, I tell you this, when I brought up how the Steelers have been wearing teams down, he said we owe that to the training camp that we had. Now, he didn't elaborate, but I don't know what else he could have meant, right?
That's exactly what it is. That's why you go to Latrobe for training camp. That's why every single day you never have to question what's the dress for the day. It is full pads. The day after the game or after a day off, full pads, right back at it, DK. The day before you take off on a plane for a preseason game, guess what? Full pads, DK. It's a conditioning of the body. And at some point, it does pay off because at the end of the day, when you get the games where you're down or you're tied 10-10 with a really good franchise quarterback on the other side and they're physical, at the end of the day, I know I've trained my body and mind that we're going to be physical. And that's what happened yesterday and also last week too.
When we come back, we're going to take care of a little bit of business here on the Ramon Foster Show and wrap up the Steelers being 3-0. If you're new around here, the Ramon Foster Show comes your way on Mondays and Wednesdays. We tend to spend Monday looking backward, Wednesdays looking forward to the next opponent. So on Wednesday, we'll be looking ahead to the Indianapolis Colts. And Bone, this is now when people start getting into, is our team getting sufficient respect from people outside the city? I hate that stuff. Earn respect in your own city and don't worry about it everywhere else. Who cares?
Nobody. The locker room does it. You'll get it. You'll get it on when they have a Monday night game, Sunday night game, and stuff like that. But as far as, how you're viewed, here's the thing. You got an 8:20 against the Cowboys. You got a 4:05 Eastern time. You got an 8:20 and an 8:20. You got an 8:15, a 4:25, and a 4:30 game time kickoffs. The respect is there. Okay, the league understands this brand and what it brings to the TV day in and day out.
Good, so true.
Ain't no other way around it. I'm gonna use stop stressing it. Okay, stressing it. You can throw a C or T in there. It don't matter. You have a premier primetime squad. Screw the respect factor. Just keep winning games.
You know what the respect factor is? When someone like Jim Harbaugh spends the better part of the week in advance of this game, preparing his players for, this was his word, not mine, the aura of facing the Steelers in Pittsburgh. That was his word. Okay. Remember, his brother coaches in this division. Okay.
You don't think he told him something too? I mean, both Harbaughs know they're a football family.
And they come out here, and the Chargers come out here, and they're just another West Coast team. They don't have any real fans of their own. They have more fans in San Diego still than they do in LA. And who are they? What are they?
Yeah.
It's just it's a different vibe, and that's part of the brand that you guys continued to build upon. Began with Mean Joe Green and Chuck Noll, and just continued right on through. That's incredible. It's been 50 plus years, but here they are again at 3-0.
I got a question for you. Only one more question. I know we got to end it here soon. Is this: how insane was Renegade yesterday in the stadium?
It was early. So it was this is like early in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So I was thrown by that, but the timing was good because the Steelers had just popped another one, and they wanted to make sure that the Chargers were going to stay where they were. And it just happened. I mean, they pinned their ears back, TJ and Herbig, and just. By the way, who had a great game yesterday that we didn't mention? Give you a hint. He recently got paid.
97. I saw him. You know what else I meant to bring up too? They are rushing. I know, but they're rushing him in a 4 D-line set.
Yeah.
And he's actually at D-end over the tackle. That's new.
That's certain
new.
formations. Yeah. And of course, Cam would have all kinds of stuff to say about how DEs get respected versus the 3-4 DEs and all that other stuff here. Yeah. Bottom line, Cam was busting it up in there, and so was Keanu Benton. Yeah. It's taking shape. But the other nice thing is they get to be 3-0 and keep building up W's, because as they get better, they're going to need those W's into that second half, which is going to be really rough.
And one more shout out to Terrell Austin again. I know it's got
Coach
T's DNA all over it, but Terrell is calling. Coach Austin's calling some plays, man. He got them ready. That's his side. Lord. And Patrick Queen earlier I thought he had a nice get back with not missing open field tackles. He popped somebody on the first play of the game.
Patrick Queen also thought that.
Did he really?
Yeah. He thought he played quite well. And that's also part of it, though. You had 2 new inside linebackers. Just trying to figure out their way and making sure they're not blowing coverage assignments. And now eventually, like you remember I told you Peyton Wilson had mentioned to me in Atlanta, he said, just give me a few weeks. Give me a few weeks. Oh. You'll see the rest. All right, Moan. So Wednesday's good?
Ooh, yeah, man. And I'm with y'all. Tell me more touchdowns. Yeah, all right, okay. More wins is what I tell you.
That's right. We'll see everybody on Wednesday.
Peace, good people.